Okay, so this Saturday, it's UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. We're finishing off the final fight card of the year in the Apex. This is my full breakdown and prediction for every fight on the main card. So kicking off the main card with King Green versus Lance Gibson Jr. Fuck knows why they made this fight. I'm guessing they just needed a filler to start the main card. Just another one of those fights where you're looking at a wealth of experience and a lot of wear and tear versus youth, and that's about it. You know, Lance Gibson Jr. is 9-1 in his professional career. He comes from Bellator, where he spent most of his professional career so far. Has some decent finishes, but against cans. On the other hand, you've got King Green, who's been in the UFC forever, has a lot of wear and tear at this point. He has some great wins, and he also has some horrible losses. He's coming off a horrible knockout loss against Mauricio Ruffi by spinning wheel kick that put him to bed for a good minute. You know, Lance Gibson Jr., he's got a very relaxed, tricky southpaw style. He's very kick heavy, but again, he's not got any experience against high level competition. And I really don't know why they made this fight. Maybe they're just trying to give King Green a win. I don't know, but I'm not going to talk about this fight for too long. My prediction for this one is going to be King Green by knockout in the later rounds or by decision. So now the next fight on the main card, we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu or whatever the fuck versus Marcus Buchecha. You know, this is very much a great striker versus a great grappler. You've got Kennedy, who's come up from light heavyweight. He's got some great knockout wins on his record. He's got some good experience in the UFC. Marcus Buchecha, on the other hand, he's had his debut against Martin Buday, and he dropped a decision in a very boring, lackluster fight where he couldn't implement his own game. Martin Buday won, but then got cut because that's how shit of a fight it was. You know, Kennedy's coming off a really bad loss by submission against Valter Walker by heel hook, where Valter literally had him against the cage, just dropped down, got the heel hook, and that was it. It was over very quickly. But if you look at Valter Walker, it's not too much of a loss to be upset with, because Valter Walker's done that to 3 other people. He's got another recent win as well by heel hook. He's on a tear with that at the moment. So I think Kennedy would have learned a lot from his last fight against Valter Walker. He's got a great coach in Saif Saud, and I think they'll be well prepared for the grappling this time. And Marcus Buchecha, if you look at his last fight against Martin Buday, he couldn't get his offensive wrestling going at all. He's got great BJJ, he's had a really good career in jiu-jitsu, but I don't think it translates that well to MMA. And the way he's built as well, in terms of a fight that goes a little bit longer, I don't think he has the gas tank to drag Kennedy down over 3 rounds, hold him down and control him. I think Kennedy's going to get back to his feet if he does get taken down, and I think he's going to find the finish at some point. You know, Kennedy doesn't just have the advantage on the feet in terms of skill, he's got a massive frame advantage as well. He's got a 6-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage also. You know, Kennedy's a great finisher. Buchecha has great submission skills, but again, his offensive wrestling is lacking, and I don't know if he'll be able to control Kennedy, especially over 3 rounds if he manages to survive, say, getting taken down in the first round. So my official prediction for this one is going to be Kennedy Nzechukwu by knockout. So now we've got Morgan Charrier versus Makikazel Costa. Charrier is very exciting to watch. He's never in a boring fight. He's got a very heavy hands, pressure heavy style. But in terms of when fights go a little bit longer, he's always typically on the losing end of a decision. So against someone like Costa, who's good at dragging fights out a little bit longer, he's very tricky. And if he can keep things at range, he's very hard to deal with. But also if you close the distance, he's got very good body lock game. He's got a very good trip game. He's very grindy against the cage. And I think that might be a little bit too much for Charrier. You know, Costa trains with Joanderson Brito, who's also a very heavy hitting, pressure heavy featherweight. So he's got a lot of hours in the gym with him, and I'm sure he's used to dealing with that sort of style. Charrier has some very good knockout wins as well, which when you look at Costa, who's very hittable, if he can't keep things at long range, that might not favor him too well. He has a very good knockout win recently against Nate Landwehr, which was a hard one to watch if you go back and look at that. You know, if Costa can survive the power and the pressure of Charrier and be tricky the way he normally is and keep things at his range and be a little bit longer, use his kicks, use his body lock game when Charrier pressures in, I think I can see this going a little bit longer, and I can see Costa dragging out a decision against Charrier. So my official prediction for this one is going to be Costa by decision. So now we've got Cezary Olądziejczyk versus Cesar Almeida. So obviously Cezary is the younger brother of Michael Olądziejczyk, who's a very exciting guy to watch. Both the brothers have now moved to the fighting nerds, excuse me. You know, he's got the exact same style of the very aggressive, hard-hitting, scary style of Mikal. So I think this one's going to be a very exciting fight to watch, because on one hand you've got Cezary, who's very aggressive on the feet, he moves forwards, he hits very hard, he doesn't wait for things to come to him. You know, on the other hand you've got Cesar Almeida, who doesn't have great footwork, he doesn't move a lot, he waits to counter quite a lot. At this point in his career, when he's getting older, and they say the reflexes are one of the first things to go, against Cezary, I don't know if that's going to suit him too well. He's a very high-level kickboxer. He's trains with Alex Pereira, so that's a very good training partner as well, who obviously hits hard as fuck. So, you know, that is just the basis of this matchup. You've got Cesar Almeida, who's very static, very good counter-striking, but coming on to the end of his career, as you get older, you start to lose those reflexes and that counter striking becomes less effective. For example, looking at Anderson Silva. Then you've got Cesario Jędrzejczyk, who's very aggressive, he's very young, hits extremely hard, just like his brother Mikal. Got a very scary style. And I think that youth, even despite the lack of experience, that youth is going to help him in this fight. He's a lot more athletic, and I think he can overwhelm Caesar while he waits for those strikes to come. So in terms of predictions for this fight, I think the absolute sure prediction is this fight to not go the distance. I think either man is going to find the finish here. But I think with Cesare having the youth advantage, the speed advantage, being a lot more active on the feet while Caesar tends to wait, and again, he is getting older, those reflexes are going to start to die down, and dragged out Ihor Pereira to a decision, which wasn't very impressive to watch at all. So my official prediction for this one is going to be Cesare by knockout, but my sure prediction for this one is going to be for the fight to not go the distance. So now moving on to Giga Chikadze versus Kevin Vallejos. Kevin Vallejos so far has been extremely impressive to watch. He's got very, very clean technique with the hands. He's got very good footwork. He keeps the distance well. He can close the distance very well. His pocket boxing is phenomenal, and that is not where Giga Chikadze is comfortable. You know, Giga Chikadze is coming off back-to-back losses against Arnold Allen and David Onama. He's got very good footwork, very good kicks. He gets on his bike very well, which is going to be effective against Kevin Vallejos, but for how long, we don't know, because Giga does tend to slow down because of all the footwork that he does, and the kicks are very taxing on his energy as well. In my opinion, the blueprint to beat Giga Chikadze has been displayed multiple times already. Obviously, he's very good on the feet, he's very good with his footwork defensively, and he's got very good kicks. But in terms of his defensive wrestling and the fact that he's coming onto the end of his career, he's getting a lot older, his ability to learn and adapt and get better at that aspect of his game is not going to be very effective. In my opinion, I think Kevin Vallejos is going to put this fight wherever he wants it. I think in terms of defending the kicks of Giga Chikadze, he's just going to take it on the arms and move forwards. He's very, very, very tough. If you watch the fight against Jean Silva in the Contender Series, an absolutely fantastic fight to watch, and look at where Jean Silva is now and how good he is, that is a very impressive loss to have on your record. And Kevin Vallejos has a stand-jaw base kick. He's got that sort of style as well. He'll take the kicks on the arms and he'll move forwards and put the fight where he wants it. I think once he has Giga backed up against the cage, that's where he's going to do his best work. But I think if he does manage to get him to the cage as well, I think we might see some offensive wrestling skills displayed by Kevin Vallejos here, because we haven't seen too much of that just yet, and I think that might be something that he wants to show. And again, the blueprint that's been displayed to beat Giga Chikadze is by utilizing offensive wrestling. So if in the case that Vallejos does struggle with the range, because again, Giga's very good at getting on his bike, staying long with the kicks, I think that is where we're going to see some offensive wrestling displayed by Kevin Vallejos. We don't know how good he is offensively in terms of grappling, but I don't really have too many doubts about him. He's shown really good skills so far. He looks like a very complete fighter. His grappling defense is very good. So I think that either way, he's going to win this fight. So my official prediction for this one is going to be Kevin Vallejos by round 2 or 3 finish. Whether that's a submission, a knockout, I think it's whatever he wants. So now for the main event, we've got Brandon Roval versus Manel Kape. Brandon Roval has a wealth of experience in the UFC. He's got fantastic cardio. He's been through 5 rounds before, so he's got very good experience in this main event type of fight. He has a great recent win against Brandon Moreno, but also quite a bad loss in a very good fight against Joshua Van, where he got hit a lot in that fight. He took a lot of damage. And Joshua Van is a very similar, not in terms of style so much, but in terms of size and frame, to Manel Kape, who's very fast on the feet. He hits very hard. He's got good pressure, very good counter boxing. You know, Royval is very good on the feet. He's got very high output on the feet, although he doesn't output as much damage. But he's very hittable in the pocket as well. You know, he doesn't do well if you manage to close the distance on him and fight that fight there. So obviously that means that Royval needs to keep this fight at range. But in terms of doing that over 5 rounds against someone like Kape, who hits very hard and he's extremely fast on the feet, he's a fantastic counter striker, very good at closing the distance. So Kape has great wins recently against Bruno Silva and Asu Almabiv, and he looked fantastic in those fights. Again, his counter striking is phenomenal. He's very fast, he hits very hard. In my opinion though, because this is a 5-round fight and Royval is good at dragging those fights out a little bit longer, I think that Kape needs to put the damage and the hurt on Royval early. But at this point in Royval's career, with the damage he's taken, and he has mentioned lacking motivation a little bit before, in terms of dragging this out and being perfect over 5 rounds against a very sharp counter striker like Kape, I don't know if he's got it in him at this point. I see Kape beating Royval up early here, and I think he gets a finish in the 3rd round. Again, if you look at the fight against Joshua Van, he got dropped very badly at the very last second of that round. I think that we're going to see the same thing against Kape, but I think because it's a 5-round fight, I think he's going to lead that to the finish. So my official prediction for this one is going to be Manel Kape by knockout in round 3. Okay, now onto the juicy shit. We've got 2 parlays to put on for this card. The first one we're going to do is Kevin Vallejos and Cesare Olenjacek both to win. And then we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu by knockout. The next one we're going to do is we've got Jamie Lynn Horth and Teresa Blader to go over 1.5 rounds. We've got Sean Sharaf and Stephen Asplund to not go the distance, excuse me. And then we've got Kevin Vallejos to win and Manel Kape to win and over 1.5 rounds. Thank you for watching.